Okay, so I had a great conversation with a client yesterday who had a very early stage concept about a mobile application. They were considering going ahead, hadn't yet committed to going ahead with it, and the conversation touched on many different points, but perhaps the most salient question was, what do I do next? They literally didn't know where to go next. They had an idea, they thought there was some sort of magic in this idea, but hadn't yet fully realised it, and needed to take it a stage forward, but didn't really know how to do that. Now, there's actually 1,000 different ways to answer that question, and perhaps none of those are really right or wrong, but I want to attempt to give a very specific answer to that question here, which will fit for probably 90% of cases, if not more. And the answer I'm going to give is wireframes. Start with wireframes. You've got even the basic concept and you think, yeah, there's something in this, something I want to explore further. Start with a wireframe. Now, what is a wireframe? Wireframe is a sketch, or better put, a doodle, a very basic, rudimentary sketch. Yeah, doodle is a better word, I think, in this case, illustrating how this thing might work, right? And you're not trying to get it right. The whole point is so this is the difference between a good solution and a bad solution. If there was one way to describe the difference to something that works well, something that doesn't, it's evolution, right? So if you find a good website, a good product, a good device, right? I guarantee you it's had many evolutions. If you look at Amazon redesigns their website like 300 times a day, right? Sometimes an hour. That's how constantly they are fine-tuning, improving, and enhancing their services. There's literally tens, hundreds, in their case, millions of iterations. And each time they do that, they have a chance to improve the service. So if someone comes along and tries to replicate Amazon, that it's just going to be an impossible task. There are already millions of iterations ahead. And I'll go into detail about that another time. So the more times you have a go at designing this solution, the better it will be, right? Because if you have a go at it and the next idea is bad, you rip it up and you go on to the next one. And every time will help either confirm that the idea is good or find improvements upon it. So, let's have a look at what a wireframe sketch is. And it really is very underwhelming, but it's incredibly useful. I can't over dramatize how big a deal it is, right? So I've got my whiteboard here, which I almost never ever use, apart from like shopping lists and really other rubbish stuff. So I realise I'm going to be out of shot now, so forgive me. So I'll draw my fantastic image of a mobile application. So hopefully you can see that. It's a big rectangle. That's all it is. And yes, this being this basic is absolutely fine. I mean, by the way, we always design for the smallest device. So I was actually looking around for my iPhone then for a second, which I'm actually using to record this, which is, yeah, genius. Anyway, so I actually own an iPhone SE, which is a small one, right? The really small one. Because if you can design an application that fits and works, behaves well on a small screen, it's going to behave really beautifully and easy to use on a bigger screen. But that's another question for another day. Okay, so I have my big rectangle representing iPhone or Android phone, right? Basic proportions, right? It took me, a second to do that, right? And then I'll start to fill up. Now you're going to start, don't know where to start at the beginning. That's, like I know it sounds silly, even I do this right now. The very first thing I design is the splash page. A splash page is the graphic that gets loaded onto the screen whilst the application is loading up. Now the chances are every splash screen is going to be the same in the sense that it's probably just a graphic with some pretty pictures and maybe a couple of words on it that displays whilst you're loading the app. So any image you just represent with a big X. That means image goes there, right? That's a good placeholder. First page done, and underneath it I will scribble down what that page is. Splash page. Right? And my brilliant writing there, which you may not be able to see. Then I would draw another rectangle. And by the way, I wouldn't do this on a whiteboard. I would do this on a piece of paper. And I have lots of pieces of paper, and I can tear them up, throw them away as I see fit. I can also, I actually like doing this on layout paper. So then I can put one piece of paper over there. If I've got one that's, oh, that's actually pretty good, but I just want to change that bit, I'll put that piece of paper over the top, I'll trace it through, and I'll change the bit I want to change. The most important thing about this stage is it needs to be quick, rough and ready, down and dirty, and actually needs to be, and I'll go into that a little bit in a second. So I might have a title at the top, so I'll draw a box and I'll write title in it. And I'm not sure how well this is showing up on the video. If, I'm just giving an example here, it could be anything. If I've got a sort of selection page, I might draw 3 squares to represent an icon, then I'll do parallel lines with a squiggle in the middle to represent text, and if there's an arrow to go through to the next page, then I'll draw an arrow. And again, apologies if you can't, I don't know how well this is going to show up in the video. That would be my page, and I would write underneath it what this page is. So this might be, I don't know, a selection page, a selection screen, right? Then I would go on to the next page and do that again. And do that until you've got all the critical pages designed, or sketched down, doodled down. And once you've done that, probably even halfway through doing it, you go, oh, sure, it would be better if we didn't have boxes like that. What I want instead is, because I think it would look a bit cooler, let's have 3 big images that fill the screen, rather than the kind of more boring kind of icon layout. Yeah, I like that. Maybe you have an arrow next to it, maybe you don't. Whatever, right? Great. And then you go, no, I don't like that, I'll go back to the previous one, whatever. You do this a few times and you end up with your core kind of pages sketched out. Now, should you be doing this, or should you be leaving this to your developer? That's usually the question I get. The quick answer is you should be doing this. So let me explain why. So if you go to a software developer, a mobile application developer, guess what? They get paid to develop. They probably offer some design services. If you don't pay them separately for the design, you're not going to get a great design. They're not going to spend a huge amount of time. I'm sure they're going to do the best job they can. They're going to try and provide you with a good service, right? They're going to try it, but they are not going to really take a lot of time. They're not going to give you 100 different evolutions of the design to get the design just right. They're going to move ahead into development as quick as they can, because that's when they get paid. That's also, depending on their skill set, probably where their skills lie and where they perform best, right? If you were to go to a separate design, a mobile app design company, maybe the company's totally separate from the development team you're going to use, you're going to get a better design, aren't you? So you kind of get what you pay for a little bit here. Now, how much of this should you be doing yourself and how much should you be leaving to them? Well, it's really down to your situation. So if you have an in-house development team, an in-house design team, then you could give this project to them and pay them for their time through salary or through the project, and get them to do multiple iterations until you get to a point where this is really starting to sing now. This is really looking elegant. I think that's a really important word, an elegant solution, providing a solution to the problem that you want to solve. If you don't have that and you're going to an external person, then at the very least you need to be part of that process. So an analogy I always use, and I think it works really well, is if you were going to build a house, right, you would want to spend some time with the architect. You wouldn't just say, hey, architect, build me a house. You'd want to spend some time with them, make sure that you share a vision, share a direction, and that you are in communication, and you are at the very least steering that architectural solution. I think that whilst you shouldn't learn how to lay the bricks and learn and be mixing cement, which in the app world would be actually writing code, I do think that you should be partly involved with the architecture of it. Ultimately, this application is going to win or fail, right? Or bits in between. And the benefits of that are for you. Development team is going to get paid. They're going to move on to the next job, and not so on and so on. Yes, they would love that your application is a big success. They really generally would like that. But it actually, unless you're going to pay them a commission for the sales that you produce, the chances are they don't get rewarded in that way. And also, chances are the development team hasn't got a frigging clue how to make a commercially successful application. Because most of them have never made a commercially successful application, certainly not from themselves, right? The ones they've made have probably been for themselves as a bit of a portfolio piece. Making something commercially successful is very different. You know, I could probably lay a few bricks, but I wouldn't know how to build a house I could sell on the, you know, it's just not my skill set. But with applications, that's my skill set, that's where I can help. Anyway, going on a little bit of a rant. So, let me bring it back to wireframes. So wireframes, it's really important that you do these doodles in a rough and ready way. If you use devices like this, there's lots of devices on the market. This is a device by UI Stencils, right? Now I got this years ago now, and I was actually really looking forward to getting it. I thought it looked kind of cool. We even actually created these little sets and stuff, and we gave those away to some of our customers and stuff which they liked, which was great. But when you start to use one of these devices, you get really kind of fussy about the detail. Oh, that box isn't quite lined up with that box, and that circle's a bit too small, and you actually forget to look at the important things at that stage, which is, what is this page for? What's it trying to convey? And does it explain to the user what they need to do and how to do it? You start to worry about the sort of style of the page, right? And it's a million times too early to be looking at that. You want it to be rough and ready. The reason being, you don't want to be attached to it. It's really important that you are not emotionally attached to that. And if I used a ruler and I got, I think, just measured and just beautiful, I'm not then going to want to change it quickly. I need it to be ugly so that I can just go, no, that's crap, I don't want that. I now want, what do I want? I'm going to get rid of one of these options, and I'm just going to give two options, and I'm going to have two big circles. Okay, my pen works. I'm going to call option 1, option A, and option B. Okay, maybe that's what I'm going to do. And 10 seconds later, you've got a different sketch. Right, what, 5 seconds, 10 seconds? If you were to spend half an hour doing wireframe sketches, you would have evolved the project more than a month of development work. Just by doing that. And if you use one of these devices, you'd have spent half an hour doing something like that, and it's less valuable. Right? It's probably it sounds like a really small point. Oh, Simon's always saying is just use a pen, don't use a sketch. But actually it's a really important point. If you screw up this early stage, your project won't even go anywhere, right? Now, what do we use? We do use pen and paper. Where I actually have a nice sort of page printed out with the iPhone and the right sort of dimensions with a little grid in the background, which I sketch over the top with. The only problem, and it's a real pain in the arse, is you've got to kind of photograph that or scan it in, crop it out, to send it somewhere. So what I do now is, yes, I do use a tool. So all my talk of not using Flash things, I use an iPad. And what we've got a template that we've created here. This is our AppMan app template. You can probably see there we've got a very basic kind of outline, the right dimensions. This is for an iPhone SE, designed for a small screen first. You can easily then transfer to a big screen later. And then I've created a separate layer on top. There's many different sort of sketch doodle tools on the market. I happen to use Adobe Draw. It's called Adobe Draw, it's Adobe Sketch, Adobe Draw. Then over the top of it, I will draw my rectangles, and I'd be no more fussy than I would on my whiteboard. So there we are. I've got a very basic sketch, and then underneath that sketch, I would make some notes, and so usually I might use a different color actually, and I would put some arrows and sort of text over the top of it to tell me what that's doing, to remind me. And then I'd move on to the next sketch and I'd do that. And I'd do that a few times. I would create a new layer, and sometimes what I do is I actually would duplicate the layer here, erase what the things that I don't like, and then redraw the sketch. And in the space of a few minutes, literally maybe 5 minutes, I could sketch out a whole application, actually probably throw in a couple of evolutions in there as well, and actually end up with something pretty half decent. It's phenomenally quick. Now, you don't need to go and you download this tool. If you're not doing applications every day, just use a pen and paper. Just get yourself a pen and paper. You know, I wouldn't even worry about getting the dimensions right first of all. I've seen sketches arrive to us in every form, from sketch on a piece of paper. A lot of people use Excel. Never quite understood that. Don't use Excel. Again, it's too regimented and you're thinking too deeply. Let us or designer worry about kind of fine-tuning it and making it look beautiful. Just draw a rectangle and, you know, start to put some bits on top of it, right? I mean, Jesus, I mean, that's terrible, right? You probably can't even make out what that is. But I understand what that means, right? And by the way, shorthand, if you've got an image, you just put an X for it. That means image. For text, just draw 2 parallel lines and do a squiggle in the middle of it. You know, if you've got an arrow, that means arrow, right? Just a little bit of shorthand like that, and you can create these wireframes very, very quickly. Now, what we do, we take it to the next level, because it's kind of what we do. We will do these iterations a few times. Once we feel we've got it right, and it's kind of the pages are singing together, and we like the overall navigation of it, and our solution we're looking for is to try and make it elegant. I really think that's an important word. So I can never get the quote exactly right, but Einstein said it well. It's like, you need to make it as simple as possible, but no simpler, right? And I think that's a really good approach. You want your application to be as simple as possible, but no simpler. And perhaps it's a conversation for another time, but the most difficult thing with an application is to know what to leave out, not what to put in. I'm not sure I've ever had a customer that's not tried to put too much in their application. It takes some bravery, it takes some balls not to include everything. But a product doesn't become better just by adding more weight to it. It becomes bloatware. Anyway, conversation for another time. Don't do that though, right? So where was I? Yes, we take it to the next level. Once we got those sketches together, we have a platform where you can put those sketches in to our platform, one screen at a time. And on our computer, we draw a rectangle around each button, and we tell the app, it's actually a web application, what page that will link to. We can do that for every screen so that we create a visual mock-up. Then we can hit on the play button and actually we can play the application. We can click on each button, we can see which page it's going to take us to, and the sketches will be just as basic as that, at least for the start. And we say, this works, yeah, I can go from here, I can go back to the home page, this is all working together. At that stage we can then start making it look pretty and looking at design and branding and colours and fonts and all the rest of it. But getting this basic wireframe down is really, really valuable. So that's it. That's my little rant on wireframes. I hope that's been valuable to you. If you would like to get, despite what I've said, you still would like a template to sketch on the top of, we have an AppMan template. I will find a link for that, send it to you. If you actually want to get your hands on this device so that you can actually put your sketches, your doodles into it, actually create a working mock-up. It usually takes about, less than 5 minutes to create the actual mock-up using the tool. We can give that to you as well. So if you have any questions around app wireframes, then ping me an email, simon@appmansecrets, simon@appmansecrets.com, and we will get back to you, and hopefully we can take your application and your idea forward and up to the next level. Okay, that's all for me. Till next time.